The ingredients you'll need are eggs, separated, granulated sugar, cream of tartar, all-purpose flour, baking powder, salt, vanilla extract, orange fanta, and flavorless vegetable oil. The equipment and utensils you'll need is a hand mixer, a large mixing bowls, a couple of those, measuring spoons, a measuring cup, a silicone spatula, and a sift. The first step you want to do is to preheat your oven. So I put mine in a baking setting and preheat it at 140 Celsius. Next step is to sift your flour and baking powder. So you want to do this to ensure that there won't be lumps in the final batter. So you want to actually sift it 3 times. Once that you're done sifting your dry ingredients, you want to set that aside, and we will now make the meringue mixture of the batter. So for this, you want to separate your egg yolk from the whites. So you want to make sure that the yolk will not get into the egg white mixture, because your egg white mixture will not stiffen or create a stiff mix, and that is the key texture you want to have in creating a meringue. When you're separating your egg yolk from the whites, you want to save your yolks by putting it in a separate bowl for later use. Once that you have separated all your eggs, you now want to start whipping the egg whites using a hand mixer. And you want to do this until it creates this frothy texture or consistency, and then you want to gradually add your white sugar to it. You will be adding half a cup of white sugar in the meringue mixture, and the other half will be added in the yolk mixture. Once that you have some stiffness in your mixture, you want to add your cream of tartar. This will help stabilize the egg whites and help provide a higher peaks in the meringue, which will help have a fluffier texture in the cake. You now want to set aside your meringue, and we will start mixing our egg yolk mixture. So you want to mix this until it turns pale yellow, and while mixing, you want to incorporate the other half cup of sugar. Once that you achieve the pale yellow, you're now gonna add the orange fanta for a flavoring, and then adding vegetable oil, making sure that the oil you're using is flavorless, as well as lemon zest. So zesting lemon, you could use a cheese grater, and making sure that you don't get the white part of the lemon skin, because that creates a bitterness to the batter and you don't want that. You want to mix it all together, and then you now want to add your dry ingredients that you sifted earlier, which is the flour and baking powder. And now you're going to add some salt to enhance the sweetness of the sugar. Once that you're done mixing your egg yolk mixture, you want to now scrape down the bowl, and then grab your meringue mixture and add a little amount of the meringue to the egg yolk to create an airy texture before adding it to the meringue so that the airiness that you created in the meringue will not flatten. It is important to fold and not mix, because once you mix, it will actually flatten the airiness of the meringue and it will not be fluffy once you bake it. Folding is a very important technique to learn, and it can affect how the cake turns out at the end. Folding involves a specific motion to ensure that you do not deflate the batter. When folding, you want to be careful not to overmix so that you don't let too much air out of the batter. By gently folding the egg whites and the other ingredients, you make sure that the cake will rise well in the oven. To create the folding motion, you want to pass your spatula through the middle of the mixture, across the side, and fold over the top, and then rotate the bowl and repeat. Once that you're done folding your mixture, you now want to grease and line your cake pan. So grab your baking paper or parchment paper and line your cake pan. For lining a round cake pan, you want to fold your paper in half and fold it again in half, and then fold it vertically to create a triangle and fold it once again. And you want to put the tip of the triangle in the middle of the circle and snip the rest to create a perfect circle. And greasing your pan, you could use vegetable oil or butter. Slowly add your batter in the cake pan, and this batter creates two 8-inch round pan, so you'll be needing those sizes. You now want to pop your cake in the oven for 15 minutes to an hour, and you want to make sure that you do not open your oven in this time period. And then once it's cooked, you now want to leave it until it's fully cooled down. In making the frosting, you'll be needing softened unsalted butter and a whole can of condensed milk. The first step is to whip and mix your batter or your butter until it turns pale yellow. And while doing this, you want to make sure that you scrape down the sides of the bowl to ensure that your butter will have the same consistency all throughout. Once that your butter is pale yellow and creamy, you can now add your sweetener, which is the condensed milk, and I use a whole can of it, but you could adjust it based on your liking. Now you need to add vanilla extract for flavoring. Continue and mixing until you have a fluffy and creamy texture. In frosting a cake, I start at the top and then spreading it using a spatula all across the top, and then using the rest of the frosting at the side. For the piping design, I use a star tip and I put the frosting in the piping bag to create this star-like frosting design. You want to add pressure at the top and at the middle to release the frosting. In making a chiffon cheesecake, of course, you cannot forget to add your cheese. So you want to start grating your cheese, and about a cup of cheddar cheese is enough. You want to now sprinkle it and add a generous amount of cheese all over the cake. In decorating, you could use fresh fruits, like as you can see I used strawberry, but you could use different fruits like blueberries, raspberries, or even using a frosting to decorate it even more. Now I'll be showing you how to create this frosted chiffon cake. So the first step is to dye your frosting. So I will be using a red food coloring to create a pink shaded frosting. You want to make sure that your food coloring is well mixed to the frosting so it will not separate. Now you want to put your frosting in a piping bag with a star tip again, and you want to do this circular motion to create a rose-like frosting design. You could practice first before doing it so that it will create a better outcome. I now use the rest to line the bottom of the cake, so you just put enough pressure to create a dot and release. And I'm using another piping tip to create leaves by piping it using a green frosting. And we're done. Here are the finished product of the cheesecake and a frosted chiffon.